apart from this young male who's been on this kill for quite a while, since not last night, the night before sometime. Andrew and myself actually went out on a drive a little bit later yesterday with a friend of mine, and we actually found another young male leopard, probably about 2.5 kilometers from here. I took a photo of him. I'm not sure which one which male leopard it is, but I will definitely, when I download my card from my camera, I'll have a look. So also, what else was happening is that while we were out last night, we heard 2 different sets of lions roaring. It sounded like females to the south of us, and then male lions to the north. So a little bit later in the morning, we are definitely going to go check those areas to see if we can find any tracks and possibly find the lions. Well done, Power Funk. And as the leopards get towards where they've eaten quite a bit of the carcass, and lots of pieces sort of just hanging on by sinews or skin, and they try and reposition it in the tree, that's when sort of larger pieces fall. And that's what the hyenas are waiting for. And I mean, I've seen hyenas wait for 3-4 days under a leopard carcass just for tidbits to fall. We've got a young hyena. You can see there's very few scars on the face yet, or on the body, and the ears haven't been bitten too badly by flies. Good morning, Georgianne from Illinois. Georgianne thought Kunyuma young male leopard, for those who don't know, is this male leopard's litter mate, so they're about the same age. She thought he had killed the impala and quarantined had stolen from him. And we weren't out yesterday morning, but just chatting to other guides. As far as I understand, only quarantine was seen by the guides. He might have been misidentified first off. It does happen. We all do it. So I cannot be 100% sure what happened because we weren't here. No one was here when the kill was made. It was during the night. And to answer the second part of the question, is Georgianne would like to know, if this isn't true, does this actually ever happen? It does, very much so. I mean, the 2 young boys will definitely steal kills from their mother. And depending on the dominance between them, they definitely would try to steal kills from each other. And then the dominant male leopard in this area will steal kills from all of them. Why must you hunt when you can beat someone else and take his food? Good morning, Anne-Marie from New Jersey. Anne-Marie would like to know if there are wild dogs in the area. And if there are, would they wait under a tree like the hyena for scraps? Anne-Marie, the last I heard of wild dogs, they headed south from this area into the central Sabi Sand. So at the moment, not that I'm aware of that there are any wild dogs around, but they do move vast distances and very quickly, so they could very easily turn up. But to answer the second part of your question, Henry, they wouldn't wait under the tree for scraps like a hyena. If they weren't able to steal it outright, if it was on the ground, they would probably come and sniff around a little bit and move on. Is perched, just that back leg on that very small branch, just balancing there while he feeds. So guys, I'm going to put it out to you. We know this leopard is going to be here for quite a while. So what would you guys like to do? Would you like to head east and see if we can go find some lions or some lion tracks so we can start looking for lions and then come back here later on in the drive? Or would you guys like to stay here for longer? Please let me know what you'd like to do. You can send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive if you're on Twitter. Good morning, Jennifer from Toronto. Strangely enough, before we went live this morning, Andrew and I were actually chatting about that. I said it would be very interesting if lions did arrive. Probably not a male lion, but a lioness would definitely be able to get up there, and it would make a very interesting sighting to see what would happen. The leopard would probably try to get to the highest, smallest branches and would give up his kill if lions did arrive here. Good morning, Leah from Arkansas. Leah would like to know, do lions and leopards ever fight? They do, but not really in the terms that there's a fair fight there. If a lion gets hold of a leopard, it's pretty much tickets for the leopard, I'm afraid. So leopards will generally try to avoid that and try to run away from them or climb trees. Though leopards do, if they find lion cubs that have been hidden or left alone, they will kill the lion cubs to remove competition in the area. Any news on Ngala from your side? Number what? What's vessels? This is timbers were calling last night, almost the whole night. Yeah.
Ja, we could get them from they call all the lines, they head up and look. That's good. Put a picture off there. Not tomorrow, probably tomorrow they'll be out there.
Okay, cool. I might see you tomorrow. So, guys, I was just having a quick chat with Sean from Arethusa. He's letting me know on the line movements on that side. And there is some interesting stuff happening. I think that Salala breakaway pride has killed a giraffe. Unfortunately, that's outside of our Travis area. And then also, one of the Styx young lionesses has given birth to the south of us. So that's very interesting news. So there are some new lion cubs in the area, but unfortunately also not in our Travis area. So we're going to go look for those lions we heard calling last night. But for those of you who might have joined us a little bit late this morning, we've got the quarantine male eating an impala, and we're probably about 60 meters from final control. So very interesting. And when we had a nice easy start to the morning, 2 minutes and we were here. There's still quite a lot of meat left on this impala, so he's probably going to be here for a while. And there's a single hyena playing the patience game, waiting for titbits to drop. There we go. As we say it, one drops. And it's a tiny little piece of bone, but every little bit counts. So guys, I'm waiting to hear from you whether you'd like to stay with this leopard longer, or should we go look for some lions on our eastern boundary. Remember to send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv, or just use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Well, there we go. I've just heard. Thanks very much, guys. We're gonna move on now. The general consensus is that we'll definitely come back and check on the sighting a little bit later. Being so nice and close to camp, it's a very nice one to put in the sort of what as my dad would say, put it in the bank. So you just make sure, we'll keep you updated on the sighting as it progresses. I'm sure all of us will cycle through here, so we can actually see sort of the whole disappearing of an impala. Yeah, let's go look for some lions. Cheers, everyone. Have a good morning.
Thanks for a lecturing treat.
Absolute pleasure. I can't thank you for anything yet.
Give us time.
Yeah. Cheers, guys. So, what a wonderful way to start the morning. For those regular viewers, I've been telling you what a softy I am when it comes to the cold. It's quite chilly this morning, probably, I don't know, I guess about 15, 16 degrees Celsius. And I've already whipped out my grandpa's old down jacket, and I'm nice and toasty. And when we first went out this morning, I thought we might be driving for a while, it was quite cold. I even had my mitts, but it's not too bad now. So our plan is that we're gonna head south first, head to our southern boundary, start looking for tracks. That's where I heard quite a lot of lion audio last night, and then we also heard other lion audio to our east. So we're gonna check both those boundaries, see if the animals have moved in from the neighboring properties. Good morning, Roz from the US. Roz would like to know what was the follow-up on a possible rare bird sighting we had the other day. It was of a Eurasian hoopoe. Roz, I've sent the pictures off to the sort of bird experts that are in charge of saying yay or nay to sightings, and we're still waiting to hear back from them. But the bird was a possible Eurasian hoopoe. My radio's been down for about 15, been in the updates. Radar station, go again. All I copied was a pride. Where were they heading towards? Do you see those sort of dark patches in the tree there? Andrews has spotted some vervet monkeys waking up. Let's go to the left ones. You can see part of the morning ritual going on, aloe grooming. So they're grooming each other, probably removing fleas, ticks. And with most social animals, this is a very important part of their life because it affirms the relationships in the social group. And specifically with primates, as we are primates, we know, sort of touching, hugging is all reassuring stuff. So you'll notice that with primates quite often, that there's quite a lot of physical contact, especially when they wake up in the morning and when they're about to go to sleep at night. And that's just reaffirming the bonds within the group, because you might have a squabble over a marula during the day and you really don't like that other monkey for a while. So this is sort of to make everything right, and keep the bond in the social group strong, which will always make it a bit will make it better when they're all looking out for each other, spotting for predators together, rather than trying to be a lone monkey. Okay, well, we'll leave them to their morning rituals. Another animal do quite a bit of that is baboons, also obviously a primate. But you do see it in some of the predators as well. Specifically, only true cat. There's a lot of that sort of backing up of the social bonds, and it's very important. And that low-lying area that caused us to lose signal. So we apologize for that. It's one of my favorite little antelopes. Just on the edge of the drainage line there. Oh, just try and go back to the little female bushbuck. Such a dainty antelope. That was definitely one of my favorite antelopes. It's very beautiful, and the way they move, they're so quiet. You see how they move very, very carefully, constantly listening. So quite often live in an area where they live on the edges of drainage lines and thickets. So also the same type of areas that leopards like to hang out in. So they've got to be quite careful. I'm just going to see if we can get one last look at her. I think she's disappeared. So quite an interesting little story about bushbuck. If you guys are looking carefully, you see there's like little white dots on her, and it looks like she's been almost drawn on. And then the Latin name, it's a Trafalgar, so it's related to kudu and Inyala, it's the same family. But, so we won't worry too much about the first part of the Latin name, which is Trafalgar, which basically just means spiral-horned antelope. But the second part is scriptus, which means literally drawn on. And interestingly enough, even the Zulu and Shangaan name for a bushbuck is Mbabala, and that literally means the one who's been written or drawn on. So quite a nice little thing. Very, very pretty antelope. Oh, we got some big elephant bull tracks in the road. Looked like from quite early last night. And I did hear from Steph 2 days ago that there was a big musk bull around. I can't smell musk, so it means it must have passed quite a long time ago. And when the elephant bulls are on musk, they do travel quite large distances, and they move chasing after the girls. Good morning, Valerie. Welcome on Drive with us on this chilly morning. Valerie would like to know, do we get serval cats in South Africa? We do, Valerie. We actually do get them in the Sabi Sands. They are more difficult to see because they don't occur in that. I have seen in the Sabi Sands before. And especially now as we head in towards the season, although it's all wet and whatnot from a very late rain yesterday. As we head towards the dry season, there's the possibility of seeing things like serval will increase because the grass will flatten down and trees are not. So during the dry season, do have a much better chance of seeing those smaller, more elusive cats. Hi Valerie, welcome on Drive with us this morning. Sorry about that, I think we're just going through a little bit of a breakup there. I think it's a lot to do with this low cloud cover we're experiencing this morning. Valerie would like to know if we got serval cats in the Sabi Sands or in South Africa, and we do. And I would say that they don't occur in that higher densities, which makes them quite difficult to find. Also, one of the other things is that they're quite difficult to see. They like long grass. It's where they prefer to hunt. So during the winter months, as the bush gets drier and the grass flattens out, we've got a better chance of seeing them. Sorry guys, just explain to you what's going on here. So this is where we saw that other male leopard last night. I'm just going to have a quick walk on the road around us and whatnot, have a look if there's any tracks, just so I can let the other game drive vehicles know which direction, in case they're heading in that area and they might be able to find him. Then we're going to continue on to our eastern boundary and see if we can find some lion tracks. It looks like he's actually heading in the same direction we are, so we will keep a lookout for him or tracks as we head towards our southern boundary. Of young Madura Ingwe, heading south from the junction Twin Dams and Elephant Skull. I'll follow up while I'm in the area. So it's very important that we communicate well with all the game drive vehicles, as it makes. So they've disappeared.
Still there?
No, there were two little diker. The game drive vehicles. And with the combination with the weather, it does sometimes cause some signal difficulties. We apologize for that. But as I was saying, the reason that here we go, and he's back on the road here. Let's see, and we can show you the tracks there. There are the leopard tracks going down the road. There's the same tracks I found where I was walking around there earlier. Said he was heading in a southerly direction, same area as us. And I called it in on the radio, even though we've had a fantastic leopard sighting. With them lying in the tree, there's a strong possibility later in the day he's just going to be sleeping at the bottom of the tree, which is always wonderful to see leopard, but it might not be the best sighting for a photographer or something who's on safari. So we'll always call and let them say, oh, there's leopard tracks going this way, in case someone else would want to go look for them. And sometimes it might be us who wants to go look for a different leopard. So it's very important that we communicate and have a good relationship with all the guides. Good morning, Dennis. Dennis says he assumes in the dry season there's less cover. Does this affect predator hunting techniques? Well, Dennis, one of the things the dry season does make it easier for the predators to catch animals because they are forced onto certain water points. So in a lot of ways it is easier, and quite a lot of the water will always be in the low-lying areas around the drainage lines where there are natural thickets of evergreens that are not going to disappear during the dry season. Good morning, Sinead. Welcome on Drive. Sinead would like to know when was the last time we saw ground hornbills, and how's the ground hornbill research project going. Also, I haven't seen them, but I actually heard them last night. They were calling just after sunset. Wonderful, wonderful call. Sorry, Sinead, I'll be with you in a second. I'm just checking the tracks here. As far as I know, there has been quite a bit of good news with the ground hornbills, with a lot of old cattle areas turning into game farming. There has been a little bit of increase, but I don't know too much about it. But I can have a look when I get back and find out from a friend of mine who does some work for them and see what she says. Ephraim coming? Station with that Shaminyari coming. If sorry, whereabouts on Gary Buffelshoek? Okay, come on. So, it doesn't look like that young male leopard has crossed the boundary, so he's probably sleeping up in the area around Twin Dams. But no one wants to follow up on him just yet, and we're on the lion march today, or now. I'm going to drive very slowly. After the rain, it makes quite difficult to see tracks because it compacts the earth, so it's harder to see the tracks, even of a big animal like a lion. So I'm going to go very slowly here and just check carefully. This is the general area where I thought I heard the lions roaring last night. So basically, if we carry on with the news, I had the news last night. Now I'm looking for the updated news on the road. Good morning, Romay on Twitter. Welcome on Drive with us this morning. Romay would like to know, do female lions move away from the rest of the pride when they give birth? And if this is true, how long until they sort of bring the cubs back to the pride? It is very true, Romay. The lioness will move off generally to quite a secluded spot, drainage line, a rocky outcrop for her first den with the cubs. And the reason for this is that life in a lion pride can be quite busy and aggressive, and especially around a kill. As I said, there's no sort of friends when they're eating, only afterwards and before. So even older cubs quite often get quite seriously hurt, or sometimes even killed around a carcass while the adults are feeding. So while the lion cubs are still small and developing, they do keep them away. And it depends on the lioness. I've seen them bring cubs in as soon as a month, and also as late as 2.5, 3 months. But it's probably generally around 2 months or so that they will start introducing them, or 2 to 3 months they'll start introducing them into the pride. Oh dear. Also, lions have a very, very short gestation, like a lot of the predators. It's just over 3 months, around 100 days or so, like that. And for this is they have a very, very high mortality rate, so the majority of the cubs will not make it to adulthood, will not actually make it past the first 6 months of life. So, because of this, very quickly, so to replenish stock, so to speak. So, for example, if a lioness loses her cubs, she also immediately comes, within about 10 days, comes back into estrus and will start mating again. So yeah, short, but a lot of your predators have short gestation periods. Leopards as well. Oh, now no Ryan tracks on this road. So we heard some calling to the south. Now we're going to check our eastern boundary. So there was some calling to the south, some calling to the east. Hoping that one of them. I'll check the southern section across there. So we're now going to check the boundary. Sorry guys, sorry about that. The weather is playing a bit of havoc with our signal this morning. Oh, there's a zebra, and it looked like it's got a open dash on its body. A zebra, I'm seeing the bush here, it keeps moving. It's got a big open wound that more than likely caused by a lion. So we'll try a view of it. There we go. I don't know if you can see there, Andrew. Just tell me forward or back.
A little bit back.
I'm trying to get it.
Oh, it keeps moving.
It keeps moving. Yeah, wait. We'll follow the zebras. Oh, we're going to get a shot, yeah, as she goes onto the road. Oh, and a giraffe as well. Yeah, we're just going to wait. So it's the zebra that you can see on shot now on her left-hand side. Go, keep turning, keep turning. There we go. I'm almost 100% sure now that this zebra has escaped from a pride of lions. That is quite a deep gash, and it looks very fresh within the last day or two. Just muscle, so there isn't that much damage, hasn't nicked tendons or...
It'd be interesting to see what the lion looks like, if that's what the zebra looks like.
Yeah, it'd be quite interesting. We'll be able to see if the zebra does survive and it heals. The stripes won't add up anymore. They'll be off. They won't be perfectly sort of symmetrical anymore. And you can often see that on zebras that have survived attacks by lions, that now the stripes are slightly out of sync. And moving around, looking at us at the moment. Sorry guys, getting that clicking. It's just me taking a photo. I wanted to get a photo of that wound on the zebra. I'm gonna move a little bit so you can have a look at everything. Nice. How's that? Move back a bit.
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
So it's quite nice. And zebra here. Only one giraffe. There could be some others around. So zebras, despite what a lot of people think, are actually quite good at defending themselves against lions, although they do get eaten like everything. But they do break lions' jaws from time to time, defending. So what would probably happen is the lion would have that zebra, and the zebra would have kicked out with its back legs, and really hard, and they can do some serious damage, even to as large as lion. Copy. So we were saying about that zebra is that actually can be quite good lines. With what I think's happened with this particular zebra we're seeing here is that there's probably a lioness or a lion on top, and it's given a really good kick, both legs, a sort of back out kick, and that has dislodged the lion from it, and it's managed to escape. I mean, there have been records of breaking lions' jaws in defense. So, unlike what most people would think, zebras can be very aggressive animals, and amongst themselves, they're They are extremely aggressive, specifically the stallions, and they fight for harems, which is sort of the term used for a zebra. You have a stallion who keeps a harem of females, and the competition for those females can be very, very aggressive and very bloody. They bite and kick each other. Let's try to go forward so we can have another look. Wound. Oh, there's a gory in the way. Something gave the giraffe a fright. The giraffe was off to our left, took off, and then sent the zebras off as well. You could find just the general nervousness of the animals in this area at the moment. There have been lions in the area quite recently, which is judging from the sky down the side of just their general demeanor. They have probably had quite a stressful evening, so I'm not going to push them too much. Just leave them be for now. We're going to continue to see if we can find some lion tracks. But that's very interesting to see that. And if the zebra does survive, I always like seeing the zebras that survive, where their stripes don't line up anymore. See. Good morning, Billy Joe from Florida. Billy Joe would like to know whether oxpeckers will help. Actually, the complete opposite. Quite often, oxpeckers are very bad for wounds like that in animals, because they'll keep it constantly. They'll eat the flesh from it. So what I'm doing is tracking where the zebra have come from. Maybe we'll find lion came from. Would the oxpeckers help the wound on that zebra heel? And I was just saying, no, Billy Joe, it's quite the opposite, actually. The oxpeckers would actually aggravate the wound by pecking it and keeping it open for longer than it would normally be. So what I've been doing now is I've been following where the zebra have come from to see if there are any lion tracks where they've come from. Not something we do every day, but nice change. Backtracking a zebra. Don't think I've done that before. Good morning, Bob from Chicago. Bob would like to know, would the zebra with the wound now be prone to infection? Most definitely, Bob. Definitely a greater chance of infection. But it is unbelievable how resilient animals can be and how their bodies can recover from. I mean, that looked like a huge open gash. And I still think, just judging by the way the zebra was moving. Sorry, Bob, 1 second. There's tracks of zebra running in all directions around here. Now we need to look a bit more closely for lion tracks. But sorry, Bob, back to your question. It's definitely more prone to infection now. But the other thing is that those animals can be so resilient. And the big thing there, I think, that it's just a flesh wound. It's just in the muscle. The zebra didn't look like it was limping, so it hasn't nicked any tendons or ligaments or arteries. So I think there's probably a good chance that zebra would probably survive that wound, but it might get an infection and then it might not. But it'll be interesting to see if we manage to see that zebra again. The problem with following up on that type of stuff is that the animals like zebra and wildebeest do move quite big distances, so we may or may not see her again. So there's a lot of tracks of zebra running in both directions, so we're just going to go very slowly now, and hopefully we find some lion tracks. Good morning, Percy. Percy would like to know how fresh that wound on the zebra was. As I said a little bit earlier, I think it is quite fresh. It's within the last sort of day or two at the most. From coming. From, do you copy? Good morning, Judy from California. Judy would like to know, do giraffe travel in groups? And if so, what is the collective noun for giraffe? They do sometimes travel in groups, Judy. They are, in this area, they seem to be a little bit more solitary, but you do find groups of giraffe. And the original, so most animals we just call it a herd of giraffe or whatnot. But if we want to have some fun, Judy, you've given me a great idea. We're going to play a little game after. I'll give you guys the first one, but we're going to play the collective noun game. So there's a lot of strange collective nouns from sort of Victorian English with African animals. Collective noun for a giraffe can be one of two. It's either a journey of giraffe or a tower of giraffe. But now, for you guys, I'm going to go through a couple of animals and see if you guys can get the original collective nouns And we'll start with a nice easy one. I'd like to know the original collective noun for a group of rhinos. Send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv or just use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. Little termite mound. Spotted a couple of my favorite little creatures. So I should probably just go a bit closer. They're definitely, after a cold morning like this, they're only waking up now. Go. The dwarf mongoose. They'll be coming out of their nocturnal hideout now as it gets a bit warmer. It's always good to just sit quietly in the bush for a while as well and listen to see if we hear any alarm calls. Oh, pops head down. Done, Jennifer. That is correct. The Old English collective noun for rhino is a crash of rhino. And since we have 3 now, little dwarf in front of us, I think I'm going to ask you for the old collective for mongoose. For mongooses, mongoose. But what is the original collective noun for mongoose? Please send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv or just use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. So guys, for those of you not sure what that fast clicking was there, the camera, it's just too sweet of a pass up on. So they'll be quite cautious, as you can see at the moment, when they're waking up. This particular sort of overnight stop for them isn't quite an open area. So they will very cautiously come out of the burrows, and they will be watching very carefully, specifically for birds of prey. They can be quite vulnerable as they come out of the burrows first thing in the morning. Oh, Well, Shanae, I can hear ground hornbills calling at the moment. They are quite far in the distance to the east of us, but I can hear them. Do-do, 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 do-do. Actually, I think I might have their call. Trent from Fiji says it's a band of mongoose. It's not, but I think you might have got confused with the banded mongoose, so where that came from. The original collective noun for mongoose was not a band. I'll give you guys a little bit more time. Well done, Angie from Ohio. The original collective noun for mongoose is a business of mongoose. See how they're coming a little bit further out, Oh, and well done to Doris in Kentucky, who also got business. Let's see if I have that ground hornbill call. I can just hear it, but I think it's a bit far in the distance for you guys to hear it. So there you go. I'm just going to put it next to the mic. So that's what I'm hearing, but way in the distance. Here we go, it's the ground hornbill call. Diane in Michigan would like to know, would the termite mounds have to be unoccupied by the termites for other creatures to use them? It depends on the creatures, but a lot of the time, yes, they'll be dormant before most of the other creatures start using them. Isn't that sweet? Look, there's a young one off to the right there. He's using that little V there to rest his neck in. But certain animals will use a termite mound while it's active, especially because the termites, the heat coming from the termite mound. I know snakes will use it when it is active. Probably one of the more interesting little creatures that has a very close relationship with termites. I don't have a picture of them here, unfortunately, but it's called an African thief ant, and it basically looks like the queen and the drone, which are the adults that move through to start new colonies, look like driver ants, but except they're black. It's called an African thief ant. If you guys want to have a look at what it looks like, just Google that for yourselves, and you can have a look what the African thief ant looks like. So the way it gets its name, so the sort of alpha pair, the queen and the drone, are massive in terms of the rest of the ants. The other ants are almost so small that you cannot see them. You have to really, really look. They're so tiny you cannot see them with the naked eye. And what they do during the rainy season is a new pair will fly off and they'll land on the edge of an active termite mound, and they will burrow into the side of the termite mound, and they will then not only mate and lay eggs and set up a little colony, but when they leave their natal colony, they leave with thousands of these tiny, minute, almost invisible worker ants on their bodies, so that they sort of take their workforce with them when they move on. And these workers are so small that when they go into the termite mound, where the termites' larvae and eggs are, they're so small the termites don't notice them, and they collect the termites' eggs and carry them away to be eaten. And they're so tiny that the termites don't notice. I think that's one of the more interesting ones that really likes an active termite mound. And they live, so a very parasitic relationship, and they live in the termite mound or just on the edge in a separate chamber. But the workers are so small the termites don't even notice them stealing their eggs. I think we'll leave the little mongies to continue. Dazzle of zebra. It's quite a nice one, a dazzle of zebra. You can sort of see the stripes sort of shimmering through the light in the late afternoon. So let's get, well, it looked like the heron saw a fish there, that quick head movements. That's a clever tack being used by that heron to fish, because a lot of fish species will actually feed off hippo dung, so they do tend to hang around the edge of the hippo. So it's a good spot to fish from if the hippo doesn't mind. Parrot sitting there. And if we zoom in on the African grey parrot's distribution range, let me just find a little stick here. Over here, you got it all, not really. Okay. We are there, and the red represents where the African grey parrots are resident. Unfortunately, they do not. They are jungle or rainforest species. I've been very fortunate enough to see flocks of 1,000 plus of them when I was working in the Central African rainforest, moving between the raffia palms and oil nut palms that they were feeding off. And what Andrew just spotted there, who he's chasing with the camera, is a pied kingfisher. There's another one. There's two of them there. So back to the parrots. Now we'll cover the parrots that do occur in this area. So number 3. The grey-headed parrots. We don't see them that often. They're slightly more rare, and we generally might find them they prefer sort of broadleaf woodland, which is sort of grey-headed parrot, and we are there. And I have seen them close to here before, but not too many. And then the most common parrot, and the one we do see here very often, is number 5. brown-headed parrot. You can see it's got a distribution along the east coast of Africa, from South Africa all the way into Somalia. Isn't that a wonderful sound? Oh, oh, oh. So, everyone out there, I got a question for you. Can a hippo swim? Can a hippo swim? Send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLive if you're on Twitter. Pam in Sussex is asking whether we have spotted eagle owls in this area. We do. They are probably our most common of the larger owl species. We also get Verreaux's or giant eagle owls here, white-faced owl, owlets, scops owl, pearl-spotted barred. Am I forgetting any? Don't think so. Good morning, Simon. Simon would like to know, have we seen that crocodile again here at Buffelshoek Dam? We haven't, not for a while. But that's not to say it isn't here. They are very stealthy animals, but we just haven't spotted it. So, good morning. Sorry, there we go. Jerry would like to know, do hippos mind the cold water in winter? Well, Jerry, I don't know. I'd have to ask the hippo. I don't think so. It doesn't seem to bother them that much, though, when they do go in and out of the water during the winter months. But just looking at that and hearing that hippo just now reminds me of quite a funny story that I learnt and heard from a umbogush, which is a river san or a river bushman from Botswana when I was younger. And he said, you never know whether hippos are the best jokers in the bush or the worst jokers in the bush. Because they all go underwater together and they tell each other the joke, and when they come up, they come up laughing. But you never know whether they're actually laughing at the joke or they're laughing at how embarrassingly bad the joke was. Or even the third option, they're laughing at the fact that you're just the one who doesn't know the joke. Okay. Well done, Lisa Osborne, answering the question that I asked just now. Do hippos swim? They don't. They run along the bottom of the water. I mean, they can't run on the bottom of the water. They run on the bottom of of the body of water. So they run along of the bottom, and they can hold their breath for about 5.5 minutes. So that gives them a chance to get to a shallow area where they can breathe again. Guys, there might be a little bit of single breakup. I'm going down into a steep drainage line quickly, but I'll be out of it in very shortly. Good morning, Jody from New Mexico. Jody would like to know, can baby hippos swim, or what do they do? Look, Jody, they will actually do the same as the adults, but when the adults are resting in water that's a little bit too deep, they will actually sort of hitch a lift or ride on the back of their mother and lie on the top of the mother's back as well. Last question, go again. FM, I'm copying you 5-5. Confirm the one at Yuri's Kaya. Copy, thanks. Yeah, I would like to slowly make my way. I'm still quite far, but I am making my way in that general direction. So, guys, we've tried to find those lions. They were calling to the east and to the south of us. I've checked our southern boundary and I've checked our eastern boundary. So they were obviously teasing me, saying, you can't find me, nah, 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 nah. So we've checked there and they haven't crossed into Juma. So they're probably still sitting on those properties to the south and to the east of us. So what we're going to do is we're going to slowly start meandering back towards sort of Vuyatila Dam area, see what we can find. I'm trying to guess. We saw the tracks of that elephant bull head in this area, and if he's in must, he could be following a herd. So I'm just trying to see if there are any tracks of elephants now. And then a little bit later, we're going to head back towards where we started with quarantine male leopard. Who had caught in it, or we're not sure whether he caught or he stole an impala, and see what's happening in that area where we started this morning. So guys, unfortunately, to get there, I have to go along this road, and there is going to be a bit of signal breakup for this first few minutes on this road. So I apologize in advance, and I will try and move through it as fast as possible. There's a brown-hooded kingfisher. Oh. Brown-hooded kingfisher. Oh, off here. That's one of our insectivorous kingfishers we get here.
Whoa.
Ah, isn't that lucky? That's what I say. Turning off the vehicle and moving slow and freewheeling and stopping for birds and stuff. You hear stuff. I just heard a very upset elephant. Probably sounded like it was reprimanding another elephant in the herd. So we're going to go see if we can find that now. We've got a question in from Elizabeth in Milwaukee, and she wants to know whether hippos, when a hippo spreads the dung by flicking his tail, is that a sign of aggression? I suppose it could be considered. It is a sign of territory. They do that to mark their territory, to spread more of their scent. But interestingly enough, hippos are only territorial in the water. They're not territorial when they're out of the water. Even though a lot of their fights will be out of the water, it's over the water, not the land surrounding. Aerial. So we heard that elephant sort of scream, that somewhere around here. Oh, and now just to keep you updated on the news out here, so there's a bit more. Quite a cold wind that started. I actually think it's probably dropped a degree or two, and it's a bit even colder than when we started off this morning.
Definitely colder.
Yeah, definitely colder than we started off this morning. Maybe I might have put my mitts on. Just gonna switch off and listen again for a second. So what we're trying to listen for is breaking branches, maybe another one of those very loud screams, or that very low rumble that elephants give. That I don't hear anything close here. I'm going to move a little bit further along. It might have been a little bit further than I originally thought. Hope you're looking for elephants there, Andrew.
Haven't seen elephants in a while.
That is true. There we go. It's a little bit further than I thought, but there's the herd. So we might be moving towards us. I'll just move forward a bit. I'm just going to try and find the best spot for us to view them from. Trying to make sure there's not a few more up ahead on the road before we go crashing into the bush. Doesn't look like it. Good morning, Cyprian, who's 7 years old and from Seattle. Cyprian would like to know, how do I protect myself if I'm on foot tracking and walking in the bush? Do I carry tranquilizers with me? The way I protect myself is through knowledge and experience. So I've been very lucky. I've been in the bush for a very long time, and I've spent a lot of time with the animals. So the way I protect myself is to read what the animal's going to do and try and make sure I don't put myself in a dangerous position. And like people, animals have a way of talking to you, so they do tell you things, but they can't speak like we can, so they tell us with their body language. So an elephant, like that elephant did there, she raised her ears as we came in. She's just letting us know she's big, she's strong, and we mustn't push her, because otherwise she can hurt us. But you see, we stop as soon as she does that, and now she's relaxed again, and she's just carrying on feeding. So there's things like that. So you learn how to read the news of the bush, and in that you need how to read the different animals' behavior. I hope that helps. Nice to have a young viewer. Sounds like there's some more elephants to the east of there. We can see 3 where we are now. Well, thanks also to Sid in Chicago, who had the same question as Cyprian. So we can see 3 elephants here, but I can hear quite a few more. Let's go. Oh, there's a big hole there. Stand corrected, I think that's actually a young boy. And that behavior fits perfectly with a young male. He's just he's probably about maybe not quite a teenager yet, but little boys tend to like to make a lot of noise and shake their heads a lot at the vehicles. And the most important thing is if we zoom out, Andrew, and we look behind him, so even though he trumpeted and made a lot of noise, there's a large female at the back, and she's the one who sort of would be calling the shots for this little group. So the fact that she didn't react at all to him trumpeting and making a noise it means that we're completely safe. We're not actually doing anything. It's just a young elephant boy being a bit boisterous. Oh, I'm sorry I called you a girl. Is that why you were trumpeting at me? So he's using his... If we go wide, just look down at his feet for a second. You can see how he's using his foot and his trunk together to dig something out. I can't see exactly what it is. I'm not sure if he's off the grass or something else. Station is at Cumberland Grove, Central Road, probably about 200 meters to the, or 300 meters to the, west of the junction with Drakensberger. can hear that crashing in the back there. There's definitely a few more elephants in the three we can see. We can hear them off to the north and to the east of us. Young combretums by the looks of things, that last thing he had. Let's just try and move so we can get a slightly better view. Watch the thorns there on the left, Andrew. He's having quite a lot of fun there. I can't see exactly what he is. He looks like he's playing more than eating as we're driving up. Nice cool weather for the elephants. That means they're able to be active for longer in the day. Hello, little boy. Don't get naughty. Your mom will give you a hiding. Make too much noise, cause too much trouble. Good morning, Marianne from Boston. Marianne would like me to talk about some of the aspects of elephants in relation to human beings. So their lifespan is very similar to a human being. It can be up to about 65 years old. When it comes to the human aspects, I don't believe the elephants have any human aspects. I know there's a lot of people who will disagree and differ with my beliefs. I think what Marianne was referring to is about how they react to the death of a member of the herd by picking up bones and stuff like that. I've spent a lot of time with elephants in a lot of different countries, and they pick up all bones, whether it's a hippo bone or a kudu bone or a lion bone or an elephant bone. They do tend to spend a bit of time around the carcass of a young calf when it dies, but then so do leopard and lion do that when their cubs die. I think it's more with that side of stuff. It's more of an instinct, a mothering instinct that overrides in that situation. But when it comes to mourning the death of another elephant by touching the bones, in my experience and what I've seen over South Africa, Tanzania, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Gabon, Kenya, Uganda, is I personally think they're just more curious about the bone. Morning, Tina from Houston. Tina was saying she thinks she noticed a growth or a bump on the young elephant's head. I personally just didn't see it. I think you might be referring it to the skull shape. I didn't see a growth or a bump. Did you, Andrew?
Not that I could notice, no.
So maybe just the shape of the skull sometimes looks like it has a growth or a bump. They do have completely massive skulls. So this particular elephant is eating grass at the moment, and you can see how green the grass, some of this green grass has become just after that rain yesterday. Good morning, Elizabeth from Milwaukee. Elizabeth would like to know about the pre-orbital gland, which is a gland that's just behind an elephant's eyes. And she'd like to know whether it's only when they're in must. No, it is also, it secretes when they're under stress, pressure, so it's sort of droughts. And maybe if there's been hunting pressure from humans and stuff like that. It's a stress gland. They will secrete out of there. Sometimes during dry season, they can secrete quite heavily out of there. But with elephant bulls, generally, most of the time, they only do secrete out of that when they're in must. But not all elephant bulls, just some. But it's definitely far more common to see female elephants secreting from their preorbital glands. And that could be for various different reasons. Quite often when they're trying to push young males, like this guy, out of the herd, at about this age, he keeps following and chasing and making noise, which he's going to do to us right now. See, he's at that sort of teenage age where he's trying to show off and be a big deal. And that's when the big cows will push elephant bulls of this age out. So that can be quite a stressful time for them as well, so they also might secrete from their preorbitals during that. So you can see where we were earlier with the younger male and the females, and that there's probably about 50 or 60 meters between this elephant and the others, and females will try to keep him at that distance. And that screaming that we heard that probably led us to finding these elephants was probably one of the females chasing this young male out. the old collective noun for elephants was definitely a parade of elephants. And it always just reminds me if you read Rudyard Kipling's Jungle Book and the way the elephants are described in that. Sort of very much a parade. And then also in that original Disney movie, sort of the military parade of elephants. And yeah, great go-away birds calling. So elephants, quite interestingly, during the wet season, on average about 80% of their diet will be grass, and only 20% will be made up of trees and bushes. But now that completely changes during the dry season, where it's the exact opposite. About 80% is made up from trees and bushes and browsing, and only 20% made up from grass and grazing. So where there's the females will reach sexual maturity about the same time, but obviously they don't have to actually have that picture in the book. I thought it was in this book, but it's not. But so yes, they have a very large honeycomb effect in their skull, and what that does, it does make that very large head much lighter, and being a big animal, and it has to carry around a lot of weight. It is an evolutionary adaptation to try and make sure that they are able to carry the weight. And you'll notice, particularly as elephants get older and start losing condition, how low their head starts to sit, and it becomes such a great weight that they sometimes struggle to carry it. There's the grey go-away bird making all the noise. No. There you go, the grey go-away birds we heard. Perfect. Good morning, Diana from Texas. Las Vegas, sorry. Diana from Las Vegas. Diana would like to know which sex makes the deep rumble when you're near them. It's both sexes, and that's how they communicate with each other. So it's both sexes that make that noise. So let me just move, see if we can see him pushing that tree. Wow. So, that gives you an idea how incredibly strong an elephant is. He just took that whole tree out. So the rest of the herd has moved off into quite a thick area. Whoa, sorry.
Okay, carry on.
Beating my cameraman with branches this morning. So I don't think he's not in the best position for us to view him anymore, and the rest of the herd have moved off. So we're probably going to do the same and make our way back towards quarantine to see what's happening over there. But always wonderful to bump into Ellie's. It was quite nice that we were able to listen to the bush. The bush was explaining to us, or we were reading the bush. We stopped to look at a bird. We heard that scream of an elephant chasing another elephant, and we moved into the area and we found the elephants. So, always nice when you can sort of complete the whole story from a distance rather than sort of just bumbling around the corner into them. Let me just take a few seconds to get out of here without getting a flat tire. Good morning, Rosie C on Twitter. Rosie would like to know, do I know, whoa, there's a big hole, why Asian ellies squeak and African ellies don't? Rosie, I'm afraid I've never actually spent any time with Asian elephants, and I could not honestly tell you. I have absolutely no idea.
I didn't notice any squeaking.
Andrew's worked in Sri Lanka. He says he didn't notice any squeaks. I mean, I think there might be those noises that I've heard African elephants make. They do quite high-pitched little squeals rather than squeaks and moans. But I haven't ever heard Asian elephants. I think I've seen them once when I was very young. So I honestly can't help you, I'm afraid, Rosie. Sorry. One second, guys. It's starting to drizzle a little bit. I just want to put my books away. You got some water spots in your lens. Water spots. Oh no, I managed to pull out my earpiece, so I can't hear anything at the moment. Guys, we're about to drop into a deep drainage line, so we might lose you for a few seconds. It should be all grand now. Here. At what, we're not sure. Just heard him alarming. always, when we hear an alarm call, we just take a few minutes or moments to check around. You never know what it might be. And they do. You see something?
I just saw the squirrel run across the back.
They do alarm for a huge variety of things. There he is. And he's looking that way. Whatever predators might have passed a while ago. So if he was really, really worried, he'd be doing that noise, but he'd also be flicking his tail. Funny looking little guy. So he's definitely looking, and you can get a direction of where the danger is coming from, where the squirrel is looking. So he's sort of like one of our news reporters giving us updates constantly while we're out here. So he's like, oh, there's something dangerous here. Unfortunately, I don't speak squirrel. Otherwise, I'd know whether it was a snake or mongoose or a leopard he was shouting at. But they are wonderful little animals. And they do give us quite a lot of help when it comes to finding predators.
So his call will be the same?
No, it is
slightly different.
For different predators. I've actually worked with a tracker in the Sabi Sands who says he can speak squirrel. He can tell the difference whether it's alarming at a bird of prey or whether it's alarming at a leopard or a mongoose or a snake. It's incredible. And literally our leopard. We go there, bang, leopard. He goes like, snake. There's a boy flung in the tree. Snake. There's a boy flung in the tree. Eagle, and then a bird of prey, and then a martial eagle flying ahead. Oh, what are you up to? Off he goes. So, just judging from his body language there, he wasn't overly stressed, so it's possible that whatever the threat was passed earlier. And he was just making sure. And a lot of your predatory species will change their behavior once they've been spotted. So for example, if a leopard's walking quite stealthily and then all of a sudden all the squirrels see him and go immediately changes demeanor, pops its tail up, walks like it, so it doesn't care if anything sees it, sort of it's the game is up, so to speak. Yeah. Stations are leaving that ambient Love, slowly mobile south from Central Road, probably now only about 150 meters to the west of the junction with Drakensberg. Could I get a vehicle lineup for that position at Jerry's car? Copy, thanks very much. I'll see you back my way. If I'd come from Drakensberg onto Central, they were on Central, but slowly mobile sort of southeast from there. So we're starting to get a little bit of moisture in the air. It's starting to drizzle slightly. Temperature has definitely got colder again. I think I'm going to have to close my mitts now. So just a quick recap on the morning for those who might have just joined us. First thing this morning, we went and found the quarantine male leopard who's killed an impala literally like 2 minutes from our camp. Where we stay. And we spent some time with him this morning. He was feeding, and there was a single hyena underneath. And then last night I heard a lot of lions roaring to the south, to the east of us. So we went and checked our southern and eastern boundaries to see if we could find any tracks to see if the lions had crossed, and they hadn't, unfortunately. And then we went to Buffelshoek Dam. Had quite a nice sighting of a heron surfing a hippo. And then while we were slowly making our way back down towards where quarantine male leopard is, we stopped to look at the bird, and we heard this. There's an elephant being upset with another elephant. So we immediately went into the area and we found a small breeding herd of elephants. And now we're going back to where we started in the morning to see if there's been any changes. Who knows, there might be more hyena underneath the tree than there were when we were originally there. I said, okay, I know where it is. So we're going to head back towards where quarantine's got that impala and see what else is happening there. Because you never know what happens. As I said, there could be more hyenas. Who knows? Another leopard might have moved into the area and chased him. Make sure you can see nicely. A little bit nervous for this afternoon. The moisture in the air. Temperature's definitely gone down since we got up this morning. So I'd say when we got going, it's probably 15 or 16 degrees. Maybe it's closer to sort of 12, 13 now. Which I know for you tough, or our Northern Hemisphere viewers, so that's nice. It's a balmy summer's evening. But for us poor soft African boys, that's quite cold. Let's just keep it for the African one. Actually, no, African and Indian. But definitely mountain Inyala and Ethiopian wolf. And bongo, definitely bongo. And then obviously tiger. There's Ethiopian specials like Ethiopian wolf and that it's the most endangered carnivore in Africa. I'm just going to stand by here for a second while I ask this question. Most endangered carnivore in Africa. Even more endangered than wild dogs. It's the most endangered canid in the world. And it's just an incredibly beautiful animal, and it hunts up in the alpine moorlands of Ethiopia in the Bale Mountains. And in Mountain Inyala and Bongo, if I got to see them, it's sort of closing out my Traphalagus family. I would have seen all the spiral horned antelope in Africa, and Lord Derby's eland is another one. So those are the three sort of to see all of the whole family. And then tigers, snow leopards and things like that from in India and in the Himalayas were just spectacular. And what are they called? Does, I think they call it the Indian wild dog. Really have to get to India, actually. But I think there's just so many animals and things out there that I'd love to see when I do get the opportunity and time. But we've just arrived where Mr. Quarantine was this morning, so we're just going to hop in and see what's happening. Right near the bottom branch. That's quite a funny spot for him to lie. The hyenas are still around. The hyenas must not be around. There's two hyenas and he's lying so low to the ground. That's quite unusual behavior. Oh, we don't want to disturb the hyena. Let's go around the other side of the tree. So I don't know if you guys, there we go, let's just stop. So there's 2 hyenas now, so another hyena has arrived on the scene while we've been gone. Oh, no ways. Did you see that? There was a squirrel in this hole right next to the leopard. Or it could even been a mongoose. So his head pop out of the hole. So we've got. So he's very, very low to the ground. The hyenas could chase him if they wanted to. It looks like that's possibly the most comfortable branch for him to snooze on. So what I can see if we look up at the carcass quickly is he's almost eaten the whole skull, the top of the head, and there's just the neck left there now. But as I said, there's still a lot of food here. It's still definitely going to be here for another day or 2 at least. So we're quite lucky. One of the reasons I came immediately first thing in the morning is that I knew the likelihood of them feeding was going to be quite high, and I knew as it got later in the morning the likelihood of them sleeping was going to be much higher. So it's still nice to come and check. Oh, here we go. Where are you going, Nisi? Oh no, not going away from the leopard. So I'm just going to wait for the other vehicles to finish moving, and once they leave we'll move into a different spot. We'll try to get a clear view of his face, which he's busy just putting in the bush at the moment. So you can see Quarantine's very distinct, very straight sort of row of rosettes that come up from his tail. I said it looks almost like a landing strip. I don't know if you guys can hear, there's quite a lot of talking not too far from us, and it sounds like someone using a spade. And that's because we're literally right on the doorstep of the lodge. So life must go on even if there's a leopard with an impala kill. So there's maintenance to be done, meetings to be had. And as we just for those who might not have been with us first thing this morning, we showed the leopard, and then where all your questions and everything are being fed to, the final control is just right there. I'm just going to show you now. Can you see, or do I need to reverse? So you can see that white there. That's the big satellite dish thingy that sends the signal all over the world. So it's probably about 50 meters, 60 meters from our final control to the Leopard. Just going to move around the other side where we can see a bit more. So you can see he's already, the first thing he would have eaten was all the heart, lung, liver,
brain,
kidneys, and then he did eat the whole head, brain, eyes, ears. Now he'll be busy digesting that. If you come down onto the leopard there, you can literally see how fat he is at the moment. That is one bulging belly. You know, he's just so full. I mean, very, very happy. Guys, if you see the blood on him there, I wouldn't worry too much. That's not from him, that's from the kill, so I don't think he's been hurt. He's going to move back so we can have a nice view of his face. And
good, yeah. Sure he'll come back.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll look back now. He just heard something. There we go. It's almost perfectly framed by the marula tree. So he's in the perfect spot. He's got meat in a tree that's relatively safe, or safe from hyenas at least. He's got water right here with Gowrie Dam. So there's a strong possibility for those of you going to be watching the Juma cam down at the dam, that he might pop up there as he goes for a drink, or he actually might do it right now. Oh, no, he's going to have, I think he's going to sleep on the ground now that the hyenas have moved off. Good morning, Ellen from the UK. Ellen would like to know, what is the likelihood of him making another kill today? It is very unlikely, but he is an opportunist, all predators. And if he is wandering down towards the dam to have a drink, and he happens to come across some animals and he manages to stalk and catch one, he would definitely attempt to. And leopards don't have any problem eating rotting meat. So he would probably stash that and then move, or probably eat the good stuff, the liver, lungs, hearts, etc. And then eat there and then move between the two kills even possibly. Good morning, Bularay. Bularay would like to know, what is the height of the kill? I would probably say 4.5, 5 meters up in the tree. Maybe a little bit more, maybe 6 meters. Hey.
Serval's ears look similar to leopards. Am I correct?
See that even though we do see leopards sleeping in trees and lying in trees quite regularly, it's they actually prefer, it's more comfortable for them to sleep on the ground, and quite often he would only have been staying in the tree and whatnot while those hyenas would hear on the ground. I'm quite sure the hyenas haven't moved far. They probably moved off 50, 60 meters to go find somewhere to rest. But if he ever had to feed, or they heard the sound of like a piece of meat dropping out of the tree, they would be hurtling back in here at high speed. I hear a lot of squirrels alarm calling in front of us, and they're definitely not alarm calling at him. I wonder if there's another leopard over there. Very upset squirrels. As he's sleeping, I'm just gonna go forward a little bit. There's just too much activity over there. I just want to have a check. I mean, it could quite easily be they're all shouting at a brown snake eagle or a bird of prey that's sitting on top of a tree, but it is worth having a look. I can hear the squirrels, they're alarming up here. Very upset. So there's no ways these squirrels can see where the leopard is.
Alarm for a hyena?
No. There was more than one squirrel alarming. Snake. Just take a quick look. Very upset with that. I can't see anything. We'll just head back towards. Well, there's the hyena. That's definitely not what the squirrel's alarming at, unless it's the most confused squirrel in the histories of confused squirrels. So I told you the hyenas wouldn't be far. They might go for a drink, find a bush to sleep under. Good morning, Susan from the Netherlands. Susan would like to know why there are less flies around this kill than normal, like a lion kill. Is it because a leopard cleans his fur better, or because of the weather? Susan, it's most definitely the weather. This cool weather is not very good for flies, and also after a little bit of rain, we've had that little cold snap. A lot of the flies will only, there's going to be a lot of new flies after this. We get warm again, because they will hatch after the rain and with a combination of sun. Did he do a sneaky puffer? No, he's still there. Here's that very tired kitty. A very happy kitty, I'm sure. He's got a big full belly. So how's that for? A bit of camouflage. A very content leopard. Lots of meat still up in the tree. Nice cool weather. Water just down the road. It's always great for us to have a leopard sighting so close to home, and we definitely, between Mark and myself, we will definitely keep following so we can follow the whole story as this impala gets smaller and smaller and then disappears. But on that note, guys, it's been absolutely fantastic to have you with me this morning. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks very much for joining us. From everyone at WildEarth, and unfortunately we weren't able to find any lion tracks. They doesn't look like they crossed into our traverse area, but that's the way it is. This isn't a zoo after all, and we're very lucky to have the leopard here, and some nice elephants as well. So it's been a fantastic morning. I've really enjoyed it, and I really hope that the rest of you, well, all of you in fact, will join us this afternoon again for the next drive. I think, as far as I know, it'll be me again this afternoon. So we'll keep it going. Maybe go look on the boundaries again. Maybe the lions with this nice cool weather might move. And it's just keep up. I'll keep you up to date with the news of the bush. On that note, have a wonderful morning or evening wherever you might be in the world. And I'll see you this afternoon.